we're back with another edition of Take 5. I got a special guest in the building today. She is a real estate mogul or guru or however she want to phrase it.
Oh, I love it.
Welcome, Paradise, to the show. How are you, Paradise?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Glad to be here.
Good. Now, Paradise is your real name, right?
That is my
Because
name.
when you told me that, I was like, Paradise? Mm-hmm. Who named their kids Paradise?
My dad.
Your dad? Mm-hmm. What was the concept behind that? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're into real estate. How long have you been into real estate?
I've been a licensed realtor since 2008, so
Really?
that's about 13 years.
What made you get into it?
Well, I'll tell you in a nutshell. I moved here, I relocated here, and I came right at the beginning of the recession, the 2007 and 2009 recession.
Right.
So I was unemployed for probably 2 years, literally, yes.
Wow.
So during that time, just to kill time and just to, because I couldn't find, like, my industry, I came from the pharmaceutical industry as a sales rep, and so there was a freeze on that industry, and so I had to, out of boredom, I just decided to take a class.
Really?
Yeah, my niece, she encouraged me. My niece and I are very close in age, and she encouraged me to just go take a class. And I walked into a real estate brokerage one day, and they had classes starting that night, and I started that night. So.
And you've been into this.
And I've been into ever since.
You never looked back.
Never looked back. Never wanted to go back to corporate America. Any of that. So yeah.
Wow, and it's been obviously wonderful for you.
It's great for me. I mean, there was a period of time, probably 2010, 2011, I needed to go back to corporate America because of the way the economy was. There were really, we had so many foreclosures, so many, short sales and things like that, and I needed to go back. Business was slow for me, and so I went back for about 2 years,
Really?
and it was painful.
Really?
Very.
Wow.
Yeah.
For a first-time home buyer, what are some of the things they should? What are the top tier of things they should be looking for versus all the way down to the bottom?
Okay, so for a home buyer period, first time, second home, you want to definitely hire a real estate agent.
Right.
Someone you can trust, someone you feel comfortable talking to, because there are some things that you will need to disclose to that individual. So you want to be comfortable and you want to actually like the person,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
So that's number one. The second thing is you want to make sure that they are pre-qualified. So you have, if you're going to finance your home, then you want to get pre-qualified. So more than likely that agent will have a preferred lender if you don't have a lender. So that's why it's good to start with the agent first. It's okay if you want to get pre-qualified. I have some buyers that come in and they get their pre-qualification through their credit union or something like that. But it's always good to have the agent assist you with that process.
Gotcha. What are the steps?
The steps to home ownership?
Right.
There are many, but I'll summarize them. So 1, you want to find your agent. 2, you want to get pre-qualified. The other thing I want to emphasize is that being pre-qualified helps both you and the agent, the home buyer and the agent, identify and the price point of homes that we need to search.
Gotcha.
Okay,
you don't go out wasting your time looking at either too low or too high.
Absolutely. Okay, and getting your feelings hurt, or thinking that you can't buy more when you actually can. So it's good to have a price point in place. And then the next steps are, once you have that price point in place, then we start looking for homes. And once you identify a home that you love, we write a contract, and I help you negotiate the contract. And because in this market, it's a little different because it's an extreme seller's market now. So you have to come in with your highest and best offer, and you have to compete. Most homes on average are receiving 8 to 10 and sometimes 15 offers on a home. So my goal with my clients are to help them be better prepared so that they can be competitive in the market.
One of the things people may ask, and I even ask myself this too, what are the advantages of owning versus renting or leasing?
Okay, so when you think of it this way, when you own a home, that's like your investment, right? So you're paying your mortgage every month, and while you're also paying your mortgage, your home values in the area and the community are increasing. So
Hopefully.
So there are many things that will kind of have your home value decline versus increasing. But one way to keep it up is to make sure you're keeping the home, or your system service, you're just keeping the condition of the home in a very good.
Right.
But the likelihood of the home values increasing are very likely in this market.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
Homes are actually selling now probably $10,000-$15,000 over asking. That's even with poor not the best condition.
Right.
But we price homes. Homes are valued based on location and price. Okay? And, well, not location and price, but location and condition.
Got it.
Okay? And then that helps us determine a value. Because I'll walk in and I'll say, this is a B property, C property, or D, So, so it's important to make sure the condition is good, your systems are updated and serviced, okay? That is going to help maintain the value in your home.
Gotcha. Credit score, how does that work, or how important is a good credit score versus a not so good credit score when buying a home?
Well, I would say most lenders are going to look for, at minimum, a 620 credit score. Okay. So one thing I like to emphasize with my clients, though, is that when you're looking on Credit Karma and all the free, sites, they use a different scoring model.
Oh, they do? They do.
There are probably over 30 scoring models out there. So Credit Karma uses a different scoring model than FICO. So in a nutshell, lenders they look at the FICO score, your FICO score.
Got it.
Okay?
Got it.
So I would suggest when you're reviewing your credit to purchase a home, that you look at your FICO score, and the best site that I've found over time is myfico.com, and there's a monthly fee, or you can just pay for the 1 month. It's like $29.99, but it's going to give you all 3 bureaus, and it's going to be your FICO score. Now, this is important because when you open that, when you pay for it and open the site, you're going to see under the 3 scores there is what's called a mortgage. What mortgage lenders see, and then there's other areas for auto, because all of these industries use different scoring models, but they use FICO. Okay? But then you have FICO 8, FICO 9. All of these different models have different algorithms on the back end that determine scores. So that's why when you go someplace and you say, well, Credit Karma says my score is this, but my score, but they say your score is something else. Right. So the key is for mortgage lenders, there's an area there, and you click on that, and that's going to take you to the page that mortgage lenders see, because mortgage lenders use FICO 5, 4, and 2 to review scores. And depending on, because those are all bureaus, so depending on your middle score, this is important, they use the middle score. They don't use the highest, they don't use the lowest, they use the score in the middle. So if you have a 700, 710, 720, they're going to use your 710 based on that middle score.
Gotcha. What if a buyer has, I don't know, a 500, 550, whatever, but the husband or the wife, whatever, have a better score? How does that work? But they want to buy the home together.
Perfect. I love that question because that happens a lot. And so if one of the parties have a different a lower score, just keep in mind the lender is going to use the lower middle score.
Got it.
So if that person is at a 580 middle score, then the other spouse is at a higher score, they're going to go with the 580, and they're going, is the terms there? It's just more of a challenge, because I know some lenders that will work with a 580.
Really?
But it's
even if the other party has a higher score. Really?
they're using the lower middle score. So in that case, what I've seen happen, the lender will try to see if they can have the one person with the better score finance the home versus bringing the spouse in, bringing the spouse in. So now what happens in that case, you still can have both names on the deed. You would just arrange that through your closing attorney, but the one person financing it is the person with the better score in that case.
Wow. What are some of the more common questions that you get asked?
About real estate?
About buying a home, about renting, whatever?
So, off the top of my head, I would probably say definitely scores, okay? Because that's always that, and that's key, because it depends on the type of rate you're going to get.
Gotcha.
It depends on how the lenders are going to treat your file in terms of what they call overlays. The higher your score, the less paperwork and documents and things like that they're going to ask you for, especially if you have reserves as well. Some home buyers, they do ask about down payment. They ask about down payment assistance, things like that. And down payment assistance does exist. The criteria you have to meet, a person to qualify would have to meet the criteria for that. And for the one I'm thinking of, Georgia Dream, I've used in the past with clients, and they contribute $5,000. If a person has a disability, they will contribute up to $7,500. At one point, they were doing $15,000 down, but the money I believe has ran out for that.
Gotcha.
So those are the questions that I am asked, and so the answer. So now, when I'm asked in this market, though, because again, it is a severe seller's market, extreme. Seller's market. I would not advise a person, if they can, to go with down payment assistance, because when a seller and a listing agent sees an offer that you submitted, and you are using down payment assistance, it's just too much of a hassle. So, and it's too much risk that are in that. So they will not, your offer will be at the bottom of 10, 15 other offers. So you're just not competitive enough. Yeah.
How about assistance with, I've heard of assistance with closing costs.
Same thing. In this market, sellers are not paying any closing costs at all. Most of my listings, my sellers they're not giving 1 cent. They have the advantage. And that's why we call it the extreme seller's market, because sellers are even actually receiving some over the appraised value. So that's part of some of the negotiations that are taking place in these contracts, where home buyers may put in an offer and then the appraisal comes in lower. Okay, let's say you put an offer in for $275, it comes in at $260. Okay, that's a $15,000 difference. But some buyers are writing in, hey, if it comes in less, I'll still pay $5,000 over the appraised value. Okay, so they're still paying out more money, and they're paying closing costs and down payment. If you're not VA, because VA is 100% financing, but if you're using FHA financing, that requires 3.5% down on the sales price. So whatever the sales price is, the down payment of that is 3.5%. Okay, so home buyers in today's market are really paying more in this market for homes than any other market. And home prices home sales have increased the sales price just because of the multiple offers. So if I have, and I tell my clients, if you see a home that's say 275, 9 out of 10 it's going to close at 285 or maybe even 290. Just because that's the market we're in. You have 15, 16 home buyers competing. Okay, and they want that home. What I tell you, it is, and it's tough because you have home buyers that have been out here, they've been in, grinding every single weekend, every day basically, looking for homes, going out, seeing them, and putting in 8 to 9 offers. Yeah, and their offer not being accepted. And it doesn't mean they're not a strong buyer, but I had a listing a couple months ago, and this listing in 2 days received 60 offers.
So is that good of a home?
The home was a great home. It's a beautiful home, but it was under 200,000. Okay, and I had out of the 60 offers, I had 13 cash offers.
So you can do that.
Yeah, if a person has cash, you can, and cash is great. As long,
Because I often thought you didn't, you have to give an account for where that cash came from or, whatever. I didn't know you can really legitimately buy a house cash.
You can buy a house cash. I mean, you have to legitimately provide documentation when you're financing. Because see, now you have the underwriter looking in the file and they're like, okay, who's contributing $5,000 towards your down payment? Where did your earnest money come from? They want bank statements and things like that. But someone who has cash, so basically also with cash, you will provide, because you have to wire the money in. You can't just bring it in a suitcase, right?
Here's my money.
Right, here you go. Y'all need time to count it.
Right.
So, so you're going to wire the funds into the closing attorney, and they're going to see where those funds have come from.
Any suggestions for first-time home buyers?
I would say definitely, even if you don't feel you're ready, just make an appointment, speak with an agent. The great thing about being on the buy side in real estate, purchasing a home, is, when you make an appointment to speak with a realtor, it doesn't cost you a cent. But it's so beneficial because that's an opportunity to talk about where you are and to establish a baseline of how do I get from here to there, to home ownership. Okay, I did that. I'll never forget with one client. I met with her and I explained the home buying process. She told me what she want, and 8 months later she called me and she said, I'm ready. But during that time she was able to bring her scores up. We had a plan. She brought her scores up. I had no idea, because she was a truck driver. Okay, I had no idea she turned in her keys at her apartment and lived in her truck.
Are you serious?
Yes.
To save money?
To save money. Wow. I mean, I have some very extreme stories of clients sacrificing to get out of renting. Because again, when you're renting, you are paying someone else's mortgage. Right. So that investor, that they're making very good money. And 9 out of 10, to circle back to the question you asked, home ownership versus renting. When you're renting, you are, you're not having an investment. Right. When you walk
throwing money down the drain.
You're throwing money down the drain. I've had many second-time home buyers. They purchased their home with me the first time, and then 8 years later, they call and say, hey, come sell it. And they pull the equity out of that home to buy a bigger, better home. And that is, in America, that's how wealth is built, off of with many wealthy individuals. So when you want to start individually and change, the trajectory of, kind of how you want to live in your space, your living space, that's a great way to start. You find a home that is affordable, let it gain equity, and then you can move on.
What if you're already in a home, you own a home already? A lot of folks now are buying additional homes to say either rent or Airbnb. How does your credit, or how does that work in terms of you owning a home already? How easy is it to buy another home, an additional home?
So that would be considered a second home, okay, and an investment property, really.
Okay.
So what most lenders are if you're going to finance it, most lenders are going to want between 10 and 20% down.
Gotcha.
And they account, they review your debt to income ratios. And I see people do that a lot, and so credit scores, all of that needs to still be great. The higher your score, the better rates and things you're going to get. And then they're going to want more down payment. Yeah.
How can you save your home if you're behind in your mortgage, if something goes into foreclosure? Can you still save it?
You can save it. I think it's good, especially if a person does not, know what they're doing. Just reach out to a realtor, because a realtor will help. They'll step in and try to stop the, halt the foreclosure process, and maybe look at either, if there's no way out, then maybe look at trying to sell it quickly before it goes on your credit, or, so there are options, there are ways. But I think with anything, you just call the lender, call the person who's financing, and they always have some option. Yeah, because it's not going to go away. Yeah, so you just call and, make that, speak to someone about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have any more questions myself, but is there anything else you want to add?
I would say, purchasing a home really is, the process is not as difficult as one may think,
right.
But especially, there are times when you do have turbulences in the process. So that's why, you want to hire an agent, someone who can walk you through, because it's not many things I have not seen, or not things that I foresee coming down the pipeline. Like, if we do this, I know that's going to happen. So you want to have a seasoned agent, someone who can help you as a buyer. But even as a seller, if you have a home to sell, it is very important on the agent you select to help you sell your home. Because one, selling a home is not just posting a picture online. You want someone who knows how to understand the neighborhood and price it properly, so you can make sure you get the most money in the quickest amount of time. Because if a home is overpriced, if a seller tells me, I think my value is here, and I say, well, I'm looking at the numbers and the value is here, because I'm always going to be very transparent and very honest. So once I tell them where the numbers are, and they insist on pricing it at the higher, I help them understand this can be detrimental, because anytime a home sits for more than 2 weeks and you don't have an offer, you don't have a showing. You might even have showings but no offers. There is something wrong in that equation. If you price a home based on the condition, location, like we talked about earlier, and the market itself, when you look at the comparables, what has sold in the last 3 to 6 months in that area within a half a mile or a mile radius, you can tell where kind of the pricing of that home should be. So anything outside of that, and if it's over the mark, overpriced, it'll sit. And then once you try to reduce, everyone's going to look at the reductions and they're going to say, okay, now, the price is good, but now they're chasing the market, and we can come in at a low. Yeah, and it loses its. When a home first hits the market, everybody's excited about it. That's just with anything, right? Yeah. So then after it sits for a while, they just scroll past it because now they think something's wrong with that house because it's a good looking house. Why isn't it not selling? Yeah. So it's kind of detrimental when you overprice homes.
Wow. Give the folks your contact information if they want to buy a home, if they want to just talk to you about it.
Absolutely. I can be reached at 770-309-0900, and you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Dise the Realtor, and then I'm also on Facebook, Paradise R Gray. I think that's what it is. So I'd love to hear from you. Love to just have a quick conversation or schedule some time to meet with you and talk about the home buying process or selling your home if you have a home. I'd love to do that too. It's no cost initially, so let me know.
Once again, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
I learned so much today myself.
Oh, great.
I hope you've learned as well. And once again, Paradise, the Realtor.
Yes. Yes.
There you go. We'll be back with another edition of Take 5 real soon.